The Grumman F6F Hellcat earned its reputation as the Pacific Theater's dominant aerial predator, a rugged, reliable workhorse that secured air superiority for the Allies. But in the final chapters of the war, Grumman developed something even more ambitious: the F8F Bearcat. Often mentioned with almost mythical reverence, the Bearcat wasn't just meant to replace the Hellcat, it was built to surpass it in every measurable way. So the question isn't whether the Bearcat was superior, it's by how much, and what that difference truly meant in the air. In this breakdown, we put opinions aside and dive deep into the numbers to reveal just how far the Bearcat pushed the envelope. We begin where most dogfights are decided: the turning engagement. And to understand who had the edge here, we first have to look at wing loading, a key factor in how tight an aircraft can turn. Turning engagement, the fight for the inside circle. In a close-quarters dogfight, the ability to outturn your opponent can mean the difference between scoring a kill or becoming one. A critical metric here is wing loading, the amount of weight each square foot of wing must carry. Lower wing loading generally translates to tighter turning performance and faster responsiveness in the horizontal plane. The F6F Hellcat carried a wing loading of approximately 44 pounds per square foot. Solid, but not exceptional. The Bearcat, on the other hand, boasted a significantly lower figure, around 39 pounds per square foot. That's an 11% improvement. In pure aerodynamic terms, that means the Bearcat could initiate and sustain tighter turns, giving it a measurable edge in close-range, instantaneous turning fights. But turning performance isn't just about wing loading, it's also about energy. And that leads us to the next key factor: power-to-weight ratio. Power-to-weight, the engine behind the advantage. Power-to-weight ratio plays a central role in determining how well a fighter can sustain energy during extended maneuvers, especially in spiraling turn fights where altitude and speed bleed away with each revolution. In this category, the Bearcat makes a dramatic leap forward. The Hellcat's power-to-weight ratio sat at roughly 0.196 horsepower per pound. Respectable for its era and more than adequate in most combat situations. But the Bearcat was in another league entirely, with a ratio of about 0.2 to 1 horsepower per pound. That's a staggering 31% increase, giving it the thrust and responsiveness to not only match the Hellcat in a turning fight, but to outlast it by maintaining energy longer. This meant the Bearcat could stay in the fight without bleeding off speed as quickly, allowing it to climb back, reposition, or pursue a disengaging enemy with greater authority. Handling and control, from heavy to harmonized. Beyond raw numbers, how an aircraft feels in the hands of a pilot can make all the difference in a dogfight. The F6F Hellcat was known for its solid, predictable behavior in the air, an aircraft that forgave mistakes and responded steadily under pressure. But it had a downside: heavy control forces, particularly in roll and pitch, which made quick, fine-tuned corrections more difficult at speed. The F8F Bearcat brought a fundamentally different experience. Pilots praised its light control feel and crisp response. The ailerons in particular stood out, offering a level of roll authority that was nearly unmatched among piston engine fighters of the era. While this advantage is difficult to quantify precisely, veteran accounts consistently describe it as a generational improvement in handling. This translated directly into tactical benefits: more agile scissors maneuvers, faster target acquisition, and quicker recovery from aggressive inputs. In a close fight where reaction time mattered, the Bearcat gave its pilot the upper hand in control harmony and responsiveness. Roll rate and low-speed agility, dominance in the scissors. When engagements tightened into close-in turning battles or defensive maneuvers like scissors, roll rate became a critical factor. The ability to quickly bank, reverse direction, or shift the lift vector meant controlling the geometry of the fight and surviving it. The Hellcat, while competitive for its time, had a roll rate that could best be described as average. It could keep up with most adversaries, but it lacked the snap and precision needed to decisively win these knife-fight-style engagements. The Bearcat, however, delivered one of the highest roll rates of any piston engine fighter ever built. At lower speeds, where many fighters began to lose aileron authority, the Bearcat remained nimble and responsive. This was a massive edge in both offensive and defensive maneuvering, allowing pilots to roll in and out of firing solutions quickly or evade a pursuing enemy with sudden lateral movement. In terms of pure agility, especially in rolling maneuvers at combat speeds, the Bearcat was in a league of its own. Stall characteristics. Forgiveness at the edge. In air combat, not every maneuver goes as planned. When a pilot pushes an aircraft to its aerodynamic limits, stall behavior becomes a life or death factor. A sudden loss of lift can be catastrophic if the aircraft is unpredictable or difficult to recover. Fortunately, both the F6F Hellcat and the F8F Bearcat were praised for their benign stall characteristics. The Hellcat, designed as a carrier-based workhorse, had gentle stall behavior that made it an excellent platform for inexperienced pilots. It would typically give clear warnings before departure and recover predictably, ideal for both combat and carrier landings. The Bearcat, despite its increased performance and agility, retained much of this forgiving nature. While livelier and more sensitive to control inputs, it didn't punish the pilot for aggressive flying. That said, in training scenarios, the Hellcat was often seen as the easier aircraft to learn on, thanks to its more stable flight envelope and calmer response near stall. In this category, it's essentially a draw, though if one had to give a slight nod, the Hellcat's simpler handling near the edge may have offered a marginal advantage during initial pilot training. Dogfight verdict. Turning performance by the numbers. When you tally the factors that matter in a turning engagement, wing loading, power to weight, roll rate, and control harmony, the Bearcat emerges with clear and quantifiable advantages. An 11% edge in wing loading means tighter instantaneous turns. A 31% leap in power to weight translates into superior energy retention during prolonged engagements. Its roll rate and handling response were among the best of any aircraft in its class. These aren't just incremental improvements, they represent a meaningful shift in capability. Composite performance analysis suggests the Bearcat offered a 13% to 18% overall improvement in horizontal maneuvering compared to the Hellcat. In practical terms, the Bearcat could match the Hellcat turn for turn and still maintain higher energy levels, allowing it to break away, reposition, or extend the fight on its own terms. It wasn't just slightly better, it was a significant step forward in fighter performance. Boom and zoom, power and speed take command. Beyond the turning dogfight, the vertical or boom and zoom fight demanded a different set of strengths, primarily raw energy, climb rate, and speed. Here, the Bearcat's advantages become even more pronounced. That 31% power-to-weight increase is critical in vertical maneuvers, enabling faster climbs and quicker acceleration out of turns. This gave the Bearcat the ability to gain altitude rapidly, establish energy dominance, and strike from above with devastating effect. Top speed also tells a decisive story. The Hellcat, impressive at 380 miles per hour, was fast for its time. But the Bearcat pushed that envelope further, reaching speeds of up to 421 miles per hour, a remarkable 11% increase. This gap only widened in a dive, allowing the Bearcat to dictate when to engage or disengage combat on its own terms. Structural strength and energy retention, built for the fight. Both the Hellcat and Bearcat were engineered as rugged carrier-based fighters, capable of withstanding the harsh stresses of naval aviation. However, the Bearcat was designed with an emphasis on higher G-load tolerance and superior flutter resistance. This meant pilots could push it harder in dives and pull out with a greater safety margin, providing an edge in aggressive, high-speed attacks. Additionally, the Bearcat's controls remained responsive and precise at speeds where the Hellcat's surfaces began to stiffen, offering critical fine-tuning during fast passes. Aerodynamically, the Bearcat's cleaner airframe, shorter fuselage, and laminar flow wing design helped it retain energy more effectively through maneuvers. This translated into better speed retention and less drag, allowing pilots to stay fast and agile even after aggressive turns or dives. In conclusion, the Bearcat wasn't just an incremental upgrade, it was a purpose-built evolution of fighter design, delivering an estimated 18% to 25% performance improvement in vertical combat. Against formidable opponents and emerging threats like the kamikaze, this leap could mean the difference between survival and disaster. Without question, the Bearcat was a worthy successor to the Hellcat. Faster, more agile, and more lethal in the skies. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please support the channel by subscribing and checking out my ebooks, available through the links in the description, or by searching Adrian Langford on Amazon.